Welcome to What Self-Care Looks Like. I'm your host, Brittany Elliott. It may be hard to hear, but self-care is not spa days, a weekend getaway, or brunch with your bestie. True self-care is the practice of protecting your well-being and happiness, and it lives within your daily routine. I'm a self-care and mom life coach here to help you prioritize your needs and practice self-care in a meaningful way so you can reclaim joy in your motherhood experience. Let's get back to you. Hey, welcome back to What Self-Care Looks Like. I am Brittany Elliott, your self-care and mom life coach here to help you prioritize your needs and practice self-care in a meaningful way so that you can reclaim joy in your motherhood experience. And today we are going to be talking about sleep, which is very timely because I'm pretty exhausted. And if you are someone who has stayed up late to get your me time in after your kids have gone to sleep, this episode is definitely for you. I'm going to talk about why sleep is so important for us moms, why we have such a hard time prioritizing it, and get into some recommendations to make your bedtime routine a little easier so that you can get to sleep and have more restful sleep, because real self-care, it starts with sleep, it starts with rest. And I read maybe 2 years ago, I read The Sleep Revolution by Ariana Huffington, and I learned a lot from that book, just even simply about how, biologically speaking, women need more sleep than men do for us to function better. And a lot of times we're getting less sleep because we're trying to do so many things and squeeze so many things into our 24 hours that sleep ends up getting put on the back burner. Lack of sleep, driving with a lack of sleep can be just as harmful a lot of times. It's like the equivalent of being drunk when you don't have enough sleep. And I talk a lot on the show about clarity, and I will continue to talk to you about clarity on the show, but being tired and having a brain fog makes it really hard to make good decisions because we're just lacking that clarity. So this episode is all about that. Sleep matters a lot for us as moms for a couple of reasons. One, just physical recovery, right? Your body needs to rest to repair and regulate everything from your hormones to your immunity system. All of that is very important. And if you are working out, you're on your fitness journey, you need even more sleep typically for your body to recover. So that's very, very important. So functioning at a sleep deficit is not a badge of honor. You need to be getting your sleep. Just got to. It's also important for our mental clarity. So sleep's going to boost your mood, boost your memory, boost your focus, help you with the decision making, like I said. And it's going to be really important for managing your mental load. The mental load is all the invisible labor that you're carrying. It's that never ending to-do list, all the planning, all of the thinking. And I am of the opinion that the mental load can be very, very productive once you get it under control and once you're able to manage it, which is why I created the mental load audit so that you can sit and make all that invisible labor visible. You can get that at backtoin5.com/mom. By the way, when you're not sleeping, you can't even keep track of all the thoughts, everything that's coming into your mind. And then as you get more information, as you're taking more information in, it gets harder to sift through things. It's harder memory recall. And then on top of that, we're aging, if you're getting up toward, that perimenopausal time, or even if you're in menopause, like it's just the hormonal imbalances that are happening. If you are not sleeping enough, you're already you're going to be having a hard time. You're going to be having a really hard time. Sleep also matters for your emotional regulation. Exhaustion makes it harder to just respond with patience and kindness and empathy. It makes it harder to keep your calm. If you are not able to emotionally regulate, you may not make the decisions that you would want to make during the time of your child having a tantrum, or maybe you're not listening, like hearing them clearly when they're asking you for something, like for permission to do something. Maybe you say yes because you thought they said one thing, but you didn't actually hear them right. Now they want to do something that you didn't want them to do. It just causes a lot of just harm. It causes a lot of harm. And sleep is important for burnout prevention as well. So chronic sleep deprivation, it just fuels burnout and overwhelm and emotional shutdown. So then you're trying to parent from this level up here, and you don't even have the energy to do it because you are sleep deprived. I will say, I am talking more so, if you have an infant, if you're in that 0 to 1, 0 to 2 time frame with children, that's going to look a little bit different because you are wedging in your sleep around their schedule. I had a child who was sleeping through the night for a short amount of time, but then she wasn't gaining enough weight. So I had to start going in and doing dream feeds for her. And then that put her into a cycle of waking up. So now she's 7 and she still wakes up at least once every night and like comes in and disturbs my sleep. That's how it is. But I know a lot of women who have kids who just sleep through the night. And then there's other women who their kid has never slept through the entire night. So you may just be wedging in sleep just at odds amounts of time. And some of that is kind of out of your control until your child gets into their own sleep pattern. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you running around doing everything else and pushing off sleep because this or that is more important. I will tell you right now, I am 100% the person who says sleep when the baby sleeps. I don't care. You need to sleep when your baby is sleeping. There's nothing that you need to do that is more important than you getting rest when your baby is sleeping. No, you don't have to do the dishes. No, you don't have to do laundry. Well, who's going to do it? When's it going to get done? You're going to do it when you get up after you feel rested and you're not dragging around, zombieing around to get all that stuff done. And I really loved carrying my daughter in the baby carrier, so that I was still holding her and I was still getting chores done. I'd rather rest, outsource it. So I don't want to hear, I'm going to have a hard time hearing any of this or that as being more important than sleep, unless it's occupation related. If it has something to do with work, and now you're like, oh, well, I work 3 jobs and all that, that is a special case, and we're not addressing that in this podcast episode. That is more of a conversation that we have to have in a one-on-one coaching session, okay? This is for more general use. So here are a few reasons why moms struggle to prioritize sleep. Staying up just to reclaim me time after the kids go to bed, even though it's going to cut into your rest. So this is just like bedtime procrastination. You feel like the day is not complete because you haven't done anything for you yet. So you are going to stay up in this time and do it. Now, there are some women who are just more night owls. So you're more inclined to stay up, which you could argue that. However, if you know that you have to be up early and if you stay up late, it's going to be harmful, we should really try to avoid doing that. Hey, it's Brittany here, your host of the show, and I'd like to invite you to grab your copy of my book, What Self-Care Looks Like. It's the roadmap for working moms who want to prioritize their self-care and rediscover the joy in their motherhood experience. It's a must-read for any mom who has felt lost, unseen, or unsure along her motherhood journey. Buy it today at www.whatselfcarelooks.com. Number 2, so mental load overdrive. So you may be having a hard time going to sleep because your mental load is just going and going and going. Your mind is racing at night. The to-do list is building up. You're worrying. You're planning for tomorrow. Ooh, did I do this? Ooh, did I do that? Lists and planners and writing things out really helps to combat that. But that being a reason why you can't sleep is absolutely real. A lot of women, once you get into bed, is when your mind starts to race a lot, which is why I always recommend keeping a journal right next to your bed. Because if you get into bed and you get comfy cozy and then your mind starts to do like the ping pong game inside, that is a really good time to just write out what you're thinking so that you're not going to forget it. You're going to deal with it first thing the next day. Social norms, expectations, cultural conditioning, that can cause some struggle to prioritizing your sleep. When you're being told that to be a good mom, you have to be selfless, you have to always be available, then you're going to feel like rest is only something that you can do after you've done everything else. You'll feel as if you have to earn rest. And we need to shift your mindset beyond that because you don't have to earn rest. Rest is a right and rest is a need. And lack of boundaries also makes it hard for moms to prioritize sleep because sleep often is going to take the back seat to work and caregiving. And then you may even feel a little bit guilty for sleeping, which goes back to some of that conditioning. Like, I need to do one more thing, one more thing, one more thing. I can't go to sleep until everything's done. I feel guilty if I do that. And the biggest issue with that is because it creating these later night habits are going to hurt you more than it's going to help you. So if you trade 1 hour of quiet time at night for 3 hours of sluggishness the next day, that's not going to be good. It's going to reinforce the cycle of burnout when you do this because you're going to be tired, overstimulated. You're going to need rest and not be able to get it. And then you're putting yourself in this cycle of doing that over and over because the truth of the matter is you cannot catch up on sleep. There is no, well, I'm just going to push through today and then I'll catch up on my sleep tomorrow. No. If you sleep no hours today and then you sleep 12 hours tomorrow, you can catch up on sleep. You still didn't sleep that day before. So don't get it in your mind that that's the case. And are there things for your mind that you can do to capitalize on the sleep that you get? Let's say, I mean, in the last episode, we talked about, different occupations and different hours that you may work. So let's say you do work 12-hour shifts and maybe you get 6 hours of sleep at night is the maximum amount of sleep that you can get. There are ways that you can set up your bedtime routine. And once you go to sleep, you can set your intentions. You can like speak affirmations about how that's going to be plenty of sleep. You're going to be able to thrive on that amount of sleep because there are studies that show if you go to sleep, if you look at the time and you say, oh, I'm going to be tired in the morning, you will probably be tired in the morning compared to if you go to sleep and say, oh, 4 hours, that's plenty of time. I'm going to feel rested. You will feel more rested in the morning. Again, that's a very specific situation. That's very specific work that we would be doing in a coaching session. But there are certainly ways, but we want excuse me for that sneeze. We want to program everything you do to what your schedule is into like a default setting. You shouldn't be doing these tricks to cheat your way out of sleeping. Don't say, oh, well, I can now sleep much less if I just, like Brittany said, tell myself that it's enough hours. No, if you have 8 hours of time to sleep, you should be maximizing your sleep time, not justifying staying up late all the time. And that's why having a self-care routine is very important. If there's a show that you want to be able to watch, if there are things that you want to be able to do, we need to wedge those into the entire week. That's why auditing your time is so important. So we can see where you can do that stuff and it not take away from your sleep. Sleep is a priority. Sleep is part of your self-care routine. You need to be budgeting your sleep time into your week. Where did I leave off? Oh, late night habits. So late night distractions, social media. Binge watching shows, it activates your brain instead of winding it down. So then when you do stop to do all that, it's going to be harder for you to fall asleep. So if you stay up at night and you watch a couple episodes of your favorite show, or you're like, oh, I'm just going to lay on the couch and scroll. Now, when you're finally like, okay, I'm going to lay down, you can't sleep. And so you're like, well, if I can't sleep, let me just get up and do more of that. And now, hamster wheel. You also lose out on the chance for deeper sleep cycles. And scientifically speaking, now I don't know this because I'm not a scientist, but I've read that the deeper sleep cycles are usually going to happen like earlier in the night or earlier in your sleep cycle. And so if your sleep cycle is shorter, then you're going to get into this deep sleep and then be jolted out of it. And then you're not going to feel as rested. But normally, your REM cycle of sleep, there's lighter sleep in there, there's deep sleep in there, and then there's a lighter sleep as you're waking up, which would be the natural cycle of sleeping. But when we just keep infringing on the sleep time, and this is how I understand it. If it's wrong, it could totally be wrong. I'm not a sleep expert. But the more you infringe on that, the more sluggish you're going to feel. So, I said this episode was going to be short, and I hear myself on rambling because I'm tired. So, we're going to wrap this up with a simple sleep routine for you, mama. So, I want you to set just a gentle cutoff time. You're going to choose your wind down time. I want you to do this 60 minutes before bed. This is when you stop doing work, you stop doing chores, you turn off your screen. I really want this to be 60 minutes. I want you to commit to an hour. I understand that it may only be 30 minutes. And if you're just starting and you're like, I'm not doing it, 15. Give me 15 minutes. But commit to a time of a gentle cutoff where you just say, I'm putting everything away and I am going to start to wind down. Create a calming ritual. Do some light stretching, dim your lights, have a hot cup of herbal tea, do your journal entry, or you can read a chapter of a book. Nothing too crazy. Don't pick up a book that takes you on a magic carpet ride of fantasy. And then you can't go to sleep. Don't be reading anything that's lustful. Like, let's just read something light. And this is a really nice time to do just a really nice, simple self-care activity, just to pour into you before you go to bed. Brain dump before bed. So not just making a journal entry, but actually getting that to-do list out. So instead of going to bed thinking about all of the things you're going to have to do tomorrow, just write it down. You can keep a little like whiteboard on the side of your bed. You can just keep a little notebook of a to-do list. Just write it all down so it's there for you. You know you're not going to forget it. And that just gives you permission to go to sleep with no mental clutter. Keep a consistent bedtime. So try to go to sleep and wake up at the same time every day, even if you don't have to work, even if you're on vacation, even if it's the weekend. Just regulating your body clock is very important. So just try to stay consistent. Our bedtime here, 8 p.m. My daughter knows 8:00. That's bedtime. I try to put my phone and everything away around 7:30 at the latest. So I'm like not checking and scrolling and doing all that. And I can just be present with whatever we're doing. But I go to sleep at that time every day. On the weekends, if I decide to stay up, I'm paying for it the next day. Like last night, we went to a cookout. I was out a little bit late, and that's why I feel groggy today. Now, I don't feel as bad about it because it's a weekend day right now, and I feel like there's not much that I was obligated to do, and we can just kind of chill. But I don't like to make a habit of that, because if my daughter wants to do something like fun or exciting that's going to require more energy, I don't want it to be that we can't do it because I just don't have the energy to do it because I made a poor decision the night before to stay up late. So try to stay consistent with your bedtime. Yeah, even when the time changes. Right now, 8:00, it's still light outside. I just pull the shades Room darkening. My daughter says, oh, it's not even dark outside yet. That's okay. It's 8:00. It's still time for your bed. Your body needs rest. Also, just practice self-compassion when it comes to sleeping. You deserve it. Not after everything's done. Not because you checked off your whole list of boxes, but because you are human. You need sleep and you're worthy of sleep. You don't have to earn sleep. So be compassionate with yourself when it comes to that. Sleep is not selfish. Sleep is sacred. And if you've been really operating in survival mode, constantly running on fumes, just let this be a reminder that you do not have to earn rest. You just have to start giving yourself permission to take it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. This wraps up season 18. So I will see you next season. In the meantime, you can reach out to me by connecting on Instagram at Back to You in 5, DM me, or check out my website, backtoyouin5.com. And until next season, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening to this episode. I hope you learned at least one thing you can implement into your daily routine. To connect with me, follow at Back to You in 5 on Instagram. If you're feeling generous, share this episode with a mom you know and subscribe to the show. I appreciate your support. Remember, motherhood is a journey, not a destination. Grow through it and enjoy the view.